Hi, guys. Welcome to Classic Guitar Rock. I'm Jeremy, and the coronavirus quarantine continues. It got me thinking about, because you got nothing else to do, right, when you're in quarantine. It got me thinking about the greatest decades of classic rock. And normally you'll see it broken down by, the 70s or the 60s or the 80s. But I want you to play along in the comments. Let me know what you think. I want you to pick any 10-year window. If you could only pick 10 years from the last 50 years or 60 years or whatever, what 10-year window would you pick for music? I'll tell you my choice, and I'll tell you why. I choose from 1975 to 85. That's actually 11 years, right? If you include 75 and 85, which is okay. If you want to pick an 11-year time frame, you can do that. But I'm saying 75 to 85. If I had to pick a decade, that's the decade. And I'm not going to go through every album that came out, but just touch on some of the albums that came out. Lot of great stuff, man. 1975, for instance, that was the year of Physical Graffiti by Led Zeppelin, Toys in the Attic by Aerosmith, Black Sabbath's We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll, Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare. Rush had two albums that year. At the beginning of the year was Fly By Night. End of the year was Caress of Steel. It's also the year that Force It by UFO came out. Jeff Beck's Blow by Blow came out in 75. One of These Nights by the Eagles. The Styx Equinox album came out. Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow came out in 75. 75 was a really good year. And there's more. I'm sure I'm missing some of those. 76, we saw 2112. We saw the first Boston album. How about Thin Lizzy's Jailbreak? There's a great album. What else did we have that year? Rainbow Rising. Kiss's Destroyer album came out in 76. Wow. A lot of good stuff that year. Fly Like an Eagle came out in 76. Hotel California came out in 76. 77, we saw the debut of Cheap Trick. We also saw Cheap Trick in Color came out later that year. That, I think, is the best Cheap Trick album. Rush's A Farewell to Kings came out. Judas Priest's Sin After Sin came out. And I'm skipping over all kinds of stuff. The debut of Motorhead. UFO Lights Out album came out. 78, big things happened in 78. It's the debut of this band called Van Halen. That was in 1978. The Rush album Hemispheres came out. Foreigner's Double Vision came out. The Styx album Pieces of Eight, one of their great albums, came out in that year. AC/DC's Powerage came out. This was also the year of the Kiss solo albums. Ace Frehley, all of the Kiss solo albums came out. The Ace Frehley album was actually really good. It came out that year. Bunch of great great albums from 78. Also the debut of Molly Hatchet in 78. That's a good one. Judas Priest had two albums out that year, Stained Class and Hellbent for Leather, two phenomenal albums. Dire Straits' debut album came out, and that's one of the tastiest guitar albums there is. Great album. 79 saw Highway to Hell. Scorpions' Love Drive came out. Van Halen 2 came out. Led Zeppelin's In Through the Outdoor came out that year. That's the debut of Saxon. Saxon came out. Also, that's the first year. No, that's not true. Second album from The Police came out in 79. That would have been Regatta de Blanc. The Cars' second album came out in 79. I should have mentioned the Cars' debut album in 78. But 1980, Rush's Permanent Waves. Motorhead's Ace of Spades. Back in Black came out. Blizzard of Oz came out. Women and Children First. Man, there was huge, huge albums in 1980. The Michael Schenker Group, their debut album came out in 1980. 1981, Rush's Moving Pictures, Triumph Allied Forces, Ozzy's Diary of a Madman, Def Leppard High and Dry. I'm already seeing that 80 and 81 from this 10-year period. If I had to pick a 2-year period, that might be it, 1980 and 81, but just some great stuff. You get my point here. 82, we saw Scorpions Blackout. Man, that was a great album. Number of the Beast. Michael Schenker's Assault Attack, and an album that doesn't get a lot of publicity, but it really should. Gary Moore's Corridors of Power came out in 82. Phenomenal album. Rainbows Straight Between the Eyes. Just a great year. 83, we've got Def Leppard Pyromania. The ZZ Top Eliminator album. Journey Frontiers came out that year. Ozzy Osbourne Bark at the Moon. Holy Diver came out that year. Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind, which for my money is the best Iron Maiden album, came out in 83. The Police Synchronicity. Just a massive album across the board. A huge album. Also another great Gary Moore album, Victims of the Future, came out in 83. 84, we get Deep Purple's Perfect Strangers, Judas Priest, Defenders of the Faith, Iron Maiden, Power Slave, probably my second favorite Iron Maiden album, comes out in 84. Dio, The Last in Line, another great album. Rush's Grace Under Pressure. 85 is, of the whole 10-year period, probably the weakest, but still some great albums there. Motley Crue's Theater of Pain. If you're a Crue fan, that was definitely a huge commercial album for Motley Crue. Alcatraz, Disturbing the Peace, came out. That's the one with Steve Vai, which of course means that back in 83 was when the first Alcatraz with Yngwie Malmsteen came out. Huge album also. But guys, just a long list of great albums that came out in that 10-year window from 1975 to 85. I'm losing my voice. Hopefully I've edited out all my coughs from this. I'd love to hear your decade. What is your top decade? And list some of the albums that are in that decade. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and look at some of these individual years, and we'll talk about what I think are some of the top albums from each of those years, and we'll do that coming up in the future. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. We'll see you.